Peace. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. If I can get this back up. There we go. So, we're just going to get straight into it. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's do this. So I made a post on Instagram and Facebook proposing a question. Well, two questions. But this one got the most comments on it. Oh, here's the question. Did Prophet Noble Jali read from the Quran of Mecca, and did he teach Moors from it? And just like the title of the video says, this is part 2 to the Uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca. The first one I did is already posted. It is much longer than I intend this one on being, or it's much longer than I intended this one to be. So I'll try to keep it short and sweet. All right, it might be a little difficult to read some of these comments. I'm not going to read all of them, but there's many Moors basically say no. No, he did not. They claim that Prophet Noble Jali did not read from the Quran of Mecca, and he did not teach Moors from it. Some Moors say that he did. Other Moors say that he didn't. Right? And there wasn't, and there is nothing in our literature that says he did. Right? So some Moors say he did. Some Moors say he didn't. Let me see. This Moor says yes, taught from the Quran of Mecca. But then he starts to say something else. He starts to say that there's an Arabic demonstration of Islam that's not for our people. He never said that. But yeah, feel free to go to our Facebook. You can find it on riseofthemoors.org. So I'm just going to address that post. Did Prophet Noble Jali teach from the Quran of Mecca? So this is from the sources up here, Hermetic Library, hermetic.com/Moorish/what is Islam. Right here, what is Islam? And let's zoom in. What is Islam? What is Islam? By Prophet Noble Jali. So these are not my words. Let me do this right here. Let me see if I can make that bigger. See if that worked. All right, cool. So Prophet Noble Jali starts by saying, Islam is a very simple faith. It requires man to recognize his duties toward God, Allah, his creator, and his fellow creatures. It, meaning Islam, teaches the supreme duty of living at peace with one's surrounding, or one's surroundings. It is preeminently the religion of peace. The very name Islam means peace. The goal of a man's life, according to Islam, is peace with everything, peace with Allah and peace with man. So notice how he's saying Allah and man are separate. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, tells us that the final abode of man is, quote, the house of peace. Now, this is very simple. Show me in his Circle 7 Quran where it says this. Right? Because I found here in the Quran that Moors say the Prophet didn't teach from, where it says Allah invites all to the house of peace. So where did he get this from? Where did he get that the Quran, the holy book of Islam, tells us that the final abode of man is the house of peace? If you didn't get it from right here, if you did not get it from right here, where did he get it from? And then they won't be able to answer you. Another quote, where no vain word or sinful discourse will be heard. So show me again in the Circle 7 Quran where Prophet Noble Ali wrote this in his Quran, since Moors are saying, when you see this right here, he's talking about his book. So show me a quote in the Circle 7 where it says this. Because I've also found that right here. They shall not hear therein vain or sinful discourse. And I'll scroll up right here just so you can see it. This is the source right here. Chapter 56, verse 25. Here it is in Arabic, which you can't read. Let me scroll back down for you. They shall not hear therein vain or sinful discourse. So, the Quran, the holy book of Islam, tells us that the final abode of man is the house of peace. And here, Allah calls us to the house of peace. In the Quran that Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, revealed. Where, meaning in Islam, where no vain word or sinful discourse will be heard. Because it says in the book, no backbiting, no slandering each other, etc., etc., etc. They shall not hear therein vain or sinful discourse. Literally, the Prophet is quoting that book. So did he read it? He would have had to have read it if he's quoting it. And did he teach from it? Obviously, he's teaching from it if he quotes it. So these quotation marks means he's quoting the book. The Holy Divine Prophet, Noble Ali, says that a follower of Islam is, in the true sense of the word, is one whose hands, tongue, and thoughts do not hurt others. And when you read the Quran that Prophet Muhammad revealed, it specifically says that a Muslim's tongue and hands does not hurt his fellow Muslim. The object of man's life, according to Islam, is its complete unfoldment. Islam teaches that man is born with unlimited capacities for progress. Islam does not support the idea that man is born in sin. It teaches that everyone has within him the seed of perfect development, and it rests solely within himself to make or mar his future or fortune. So when you read, I believe it's chapter 2, verse 30, it talks about the creation of man. And the reason why we have this seed of perfect development is because Allah breathed into us his spirit and taught us all things. The cardinal doctrine of Islam is the unity of the Father Allah, the unity of the Father Allah, as opposed to what? As opposed to the Trinity. This is why he's saying we believe in one God. And when you read the Quran that Prophet Muhammad came, it explains how there is no Trinity. Allah is one, right? Allah, who is all God, all mercy, and all powerful. He is perfect and holy, all wisdom, all knowledge, and all truth. These are some of his great attributes so far as we can understand. He is free from all defects. So we know that Prophet Noble Ali is not talking about mankind, because we are not free from all defects. We are not holy and transcendent, right? He is personal to us insofar as we can see his attributes working for us. So that's how we know he exists, and that's why we have this personal relationship with Allah, because we can see his attributes working for us. But he is nevertheless impersonal, right? This is why you often hear me talk about objectivity, because he is infinite. Man is not infinite. And we see in the Circle 7 Quran where Noble Ali talks about spirit man and Allah are one, because again, Allah breathed his spirit into us, which is why we are one. And again, it says that man is not the flesh, man is the spirit. So as we are in this, we're not Allah, period. Right? Allah is perfect, we are not. And holy, we are not. We do not believe that death, decay, or sleep overtake him. But guess who has to sleep? We do. Guess whose physical body is going to decay? Ours is. Neither do we believe that he is a helplessly inactive and inert force. Nothing happens without his knowledge and will. He neither begets nor is he begotten, because these are the traits of frail and weak humanity. So Prophet Noble Ali is telling us Moorish Americans that we're not God. Again, and Moors are confusing chapter 1 with the fact that we have some of the attributes of Allah simply because He breathed His Spirit into us, and they're confusing that with we are ourselves Allah. If we were, then we would never have been born thinking that we're black. Period. Right? This unity of Allah is the first and foremost pillar of Islam, and every other belief hangs on it. So we can already see that Prophet Noble Jali read the Quran of Mecca, and he taught from the Quran of Mecca. Right? So let's go ahead and close these tabs because we use them. They will never hear any idle or sinful talk. Yep. Let's go to where we at here. Let's go to this right here. Masterpiece of religious literature, secrets of other creeds revealed. I should have enough time left. Right, so this is him talking about the preparation of the Circle 7 Quran, right? Which will be a masterpiece of religious literature. To Americanize the Oriental idea of Islam involves many changes that are more or less negative to the main purpose of the Islamic religion, right? Such changes are carefully considered with the idea to avoid changing the complexion of the original text. So what is he doing? What is he doing? By using the word Americanizing the Oriental idea of Islam, without making any changes that's going to change the original text, he's just making it simpler for us to understand, for us to comprehend. That's it. Meaning it's the same exact religion, there's no difference. And when we read the Quran that Prophet Muhammad revealed, Allah tells us that He will always send a prophet to a nation who is of that nation, speaks the language of that nation, so that way they can comprehend Allah's religion. That's what it says in the book. Right? Then it continues to say the philosophy of the ancient prophets is the main initiative in the compilation of the Quran. And it also says in the Quran of Mecca that what? And I'm going to paraphrase, that when Allah brought all the prophets together, He gathered them all up. And again, Allah transcends time. He's not subject to time. He's incomprehensible, right? He gathered all the prophets up and spoke to them and had them enter into a covenant with Allah and amongst themselves. And Allah spoke to them and said, essentially that when you come, you will always confirm the prophet that came before you. You will confirm his message and you will support his message. And the prophets that come after you will do the same. And they all agreed. So this is why this is the philosophy of the ancient prophets, which is the main initiative in the compilation of the Quran. No thoughts of propaganda enter this work, meaning this is not a separate religion that's only for Moorish Americans. There's no propaganda whatsoever. It's only written so that way we can comprehend the larger book that Prophet Muhammad brought us. So this is our baseline rock foundation for us to be able to read that book, right? As has been the cause of many former religious works, such as the Bible and other books of creed, which the Quran specifically addresses that when the prophets died, the children of Beni Israel and the children of Israel and the Jews changed the words, right? So that's essentially what Moors are trying to do with the Circle 7 Quran. They're trying to change it as if it's a new religion or it's different from what Prophet Muhammad brought, which is an utter and absolute lie. The sole purpose of the Prophet in giving such a message to the world is to save fallen humanity, right? So we see from this that he did not change the original complexion of the text, right? And we see that with people translating things out of their original language. So since the Quran was written in Arabic and there was at the time no English translation for us here in America, you'll see, I think the first English translation was by Yusuf Abdullah Ali, I think that's his name. That was one of the first English ones, which came way after Prophet Noble Jali. So Prophet Noble Jali was the first Muslim in America to bring us Islam, period, right? And did not change the original meaning of the text. This is why, again, when you watch the other video, part 1 of this series, you'll see where I use the Circle 7 Quran in the Quran of Muhammad and show you word for word how they're the same. All right, let me see what else. Right, so many secrets known to the prophets that could be used for the salvation of the nation were either left out or colored to an extent that their meaning was made void. Such is not the case with this edition of the Quran. So again, this book was specifically for Moorish Americans to bring us closer to Islam that Prophet Muhammad brought to us, right? All the secrets of the ages known to men are put in this work. The secrets known only to the Magi are here revealed. The reading of the stars, the interpretation of marriage relations, and Moors, for some reason, this specific Moors out there with titles such as Grand Sheikh saying we shouldn't be married, which is absurd. The understanding of the span of life and other such as has been kept from the Occidental world are in this book boldly brought out. The Quran, Americanized as it will be, can be bought in a few weeks. It will be sent to all governors of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So again, at this time, there was no Quran in English that us so-called Black Americans could have read and comprehended in our specific circumstances. So that's why Prophet Noble Drew Ali was sent to us by Allah to bring us into the fold of Islam. Right? And just like I read, this isn't it, right here. Just like I read in part 1 of this series, the Uniting of the Quran of Mecca, part 1, this is part 2, we see specifically, we'll do this. We'll see right here, look. The Moorish Science Temple of America has received some opposition and criticism. And the main opposition has come from certain Christian ministers. They have expressed themselves as being opposed to our propagation of the Mohammedan religion. I'll zoom in for you. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali is telling you that the purpose of the Moorish Science Temple of America is to propagate the Mohammedan religion. He says our propagation of the Mohammedan religion. Who's our? The Moorish Science Temple of America. Right, which is our religious right under the Constitution, right? Which he mentions right here. The door of religious freedom made by the American Constitution swings open to all, and people may enter through it and worship as they desire. We can also see here that specifically, he's talking about the religion of Muhammad, right? Muhammad was the founder of the Mohammedan religion. It originated 13 centuries ago on the Arabian Peninsula. So we know exactly what Prophet Noble Drew Ali is talking about. He's talking about the Islam that is practiced in the holy city of Mecca to this day. The same religion that is practiced by hundreds of millions of people right now. That's the religion he's talking about. There is no separate religion that Moorish Americans are supposed to be practicing. It doesn't make sense. There's only one religion because there's only one Allah, period. Right? What else do we see here? I don't think this is related. But to prove that he's talking about the people who inhabit the holy city of Mecca, we read this. This is Quran Questions from Moorish Americans. This is obviously from the Library of Congress. All right, we see this right here, Moorish Science Temple of America. Quran Questions from Moorish Americans. And I'm at the page, right? Let's see right here. What is an angel? An angel is the thought of Allah made manifested in human flesh. So we already know that the angel Jibril came to Prophet Muhammad in human form and revealed the message to him. We already know that that is true, right? So let's see right here. Let me see. Where is the Garden of Eden? In the land of Canaan, in the city of Mecca. What is the modern name for the Garden of Eden? Mecca. Obviously, we're not talking about Chicago, obviously. Next page. Let's see, where's the question at? Number 60. Who is guarding the holy city of Mecca today to keep the unbelievers away? Answer, angels. What is the modern name for those angels? Asiatics. What is the shade of their skin? Olive. We already went over this in part 1. Are the Moorish Americans in any relation to these angels? Yes, we have the same mother and father. I went over the history of Lot and Abraham, which Lot is the grandfather of Moab. All right. What is the devil sometimes called? The lower self. How many selves are there? 2. Name them, higher self and lower self. What people represent the higher self? Right here. The angels who protect the holy city of Mecca. There's only one place in the world that literally says in Arabic, unbelievers, this is your last exit. You cannot come into the city. And that is Mecca. Where? The Arabian Peninsula. That is the only place on earth where that is the case. So we know for a fact that Prophet Noble Drew Ali is pointing us to Prophet Muhammad, and that Moors are supposed to practice the Islam as taught in the Holy Quran of Mecca. This is why in his book, He clearly states that this is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca. This is not a separate religion. This is not. This is not a. There's only one religion, and that is Islam. Period. There shall be no sectalism within Islam. So for Moors to claim that he brought a different religion, they're lying. They're not going to his literature, and they're just making stuff up. So let's see if there's an easier way to. Let's see. I don't know. It doesn't have the. I'm just gonna shoot in the dark here. 55, page 55. I'm trying to go to chapter 38. That didn't do that. I clicked on the wrong go. I'm running out of time here. What chapter is this? Chapter 43. Let's see. Go to page 46. Chapter 38. Nope. That is the wrong chapter. What chapter is it? I think it's 39. It's the chapter on religion. I don't have... it'll be easier if I just go to this right here. I was just trying to use the Library of Congress just because it's the Library of Congress. But it's fine. We'll just do this instead. That way I can go straight to the chapter. It might be, what did I say, 38? It's probably 35. Trying to speed up my computer because I only got a few minutes left. Let's see if that's faster. Wow. That's the first time I've ever seen that. Again, I already went over all this in the first video. I was just trying to do a quick recap to show Moors the truth. Yeah, now it's not loading. Very interesting. I'll just do this. This is the Holy Quran. Chapter 35. Chapter 35, verse 1. There is but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. To the one who is supreme, most wise, and beneficent, and to him alone belong worship, adoration, thanksgiving, and praise. O reverence the majesty of the Omnipotent, and tempt not his anger, lest thou be destroyed. The providence of Allah is ever all in his works. He ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. Pay therefore to his wisdom all honor and veneration, and bow down thyself in humble and submissive obedience to supreme discretion. So obviously we can see from the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali that he did in fact teach from the Quran of Mecca in the Circle 7 Quran, specifically designed for Moorish Americans to bring them into the fold of Islam as brought to us by Prophet Muhammad. It clearly specifies that this is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca, which means what? He had to have taught from it. Not only that, I showed you where in his own writing he taught from it, word for word, took it straight from the Quran because there's only one Islam. And with that, I leave you with peace. Don't be confused by Moors trying to keep you off the path. Remember, he said some of your own will try to put you back into slavery. Follow Allah. We say it in the Moorish American prayer that Allah